Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over Tropical Storm Gamma. Now this is a potential tropical storm. If this were to form, it would be our third name in the Greek alphabet and our 25th name so far in the Atlantic hurricane season. If this were to form, it has a high likelihood of forming, and it would likely become maybe even a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall somewhere from northern Mexico to about Florida and Alabama. There's a very wide cone. Some of the models indicating this takes a straight northward track into parts of Florida, some models making a curve to the left. We have about 2 out of 3 models showing a curve to the left. Some of the models, I'd say probably about a third of them, bring this straight northward. So we're going to go over that also in today's video. So let's start off here with your current National Weather Service page. We currently have some frost and freeze warnings in effect. Freeze warnings in the dark blue, frost advisories in the lighter blue, the medium shade of blue, and we see those over Nebraska, Kansas, even a little bit of Colorado there, into Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin, and even a little bit in northern Illinois there. So definitely it's a very widespread area of cold air, and I've been talking about this over the past few days. We also have some air quality alerts all the way from Texas into Colorado, Wyoming, and also for parts of Oregon, California, and then another area in Central California. And then all along the coast of California, we have red flag warnings, heat advisories, and excessive heat warnings in effect. Other than that, there's not a lot going on in terms of watches and warnings. Now, here's the current 5-day graphical outlook from the National Hurricane Center. That disturbance off to the right-hand side of your screen, highlighted in yellow, currently has a 20% chance of developing within the next 5 days, and the area in red, which is what we're going to be talking about in today's video, currently has a 70% chance of developing within the next 5 days. Now, let's start talking about this storm Invest 91L. It's currently located at 15.4 degrees north by about 81.0 degrees west, and we currently have maximum sustained winds of about 20 knots. Now, this currently has a minimum pressure of also about 1008 millibars. Now, here is the GFS ensemble model tracking, and we are looking at most of these models bringing this into parts of the Yucatan Peninsula, but we do see a couple of the models not indicated here. We only have a few models on this storm right now, but a few of the models, the main models, the Canadian model in particular, makes this kind of northward turn. It has another storm that comes out of the southeast, and it'll kind of converge with this one, and it steers it further to the north. So we'll have to see what happens with those two storms, and that can make a really tricky forecast. The GFS and the European both take a track somewhat similar to this, and we're going to be looking at all three of those models. Now, here's the model intensity guidance for the storm, and we're looking at all the models bringing this to a tropical storm, and a couple even bring this to a hurricane. The Canadian model brought this to about a Category 2 hurricane as it made landfall in Florida. So we'll have to see what happens, just because if this does converge with the other system, we could have a really big storm on our hands. Now, here is the European model, and we'll start to play this through. This would be by Saturday morning, October 3rd, and we see an area of unorganized thunderstorm activity with a general low pressure right around here. So we don't have anything that's too organized, but we do see some rain starting to move into parts of the Gulf of Mexico by this point. Now, here would be by Sunday morning, October 4th. That low pressure is starting to move a little bit further to the north, and I know it could be a little bit tricky to figure out where exactly the low pressure is. By this point, it would be right over the northern Yucatan Peninsula. Now let's play this through a little bit more. It starts to move to the west, and it starts shifting to the south and to the west. We have that low pressure right around here, rain on the western flank of this storm, and this model brings this into parts of northern Mexico. Now let's continue this forward, and it continues to move to the east, or actually to the west here, with some more rainfall, but we'll still have to see what happens. Now, this is the final frame of the European I'm going to show you guys, but let's start looking at a couple of different models. Here would be the GFS model, the American model, and let's play this through and show you what this has for the storm. We have the low pressure that would be right around here, and then we see our secondary low pressure that's starting to form out over northern Venezuela by this point, and that is going to be making its way to the north. Now, the GFS has this a lot further back than the Canadian model. The Canadian model has this much closer in timing to the other system. So So what the GFS is going to do is it's going to bring this further to the west, kind of what the European had, and then afterwards you're going to see that system move into the Gulf of Mexico, that system further south in northern South America. Now, here would be by Saturday, October 3rd, and we're looking at that heavy rainfall moving over the northern Yucatan Peninsula. It would be a 998 millibar low pressure system by this point. Here would be by Sunday, October 4th, and by this frame, it looks like it's going to make a straight northward trek into parts of Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. But look what's going to happen. It's going to stall out over the central Gulf of Mexico by Monday, October 5th. Here would be where the low pressure system is. It's currently, or by this point, it would currently be north of the Yucatan Peninsula at about 1004 millibars. And then look what it does. It starts shifting a little bit to the west, and you see where that other system is. It's still lingering back here, so you're not going to have any chance for these two storms to converge somewhere in between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. You're not going to see that happen. So we're going to end up just having these two separate systems, and we'll have to see what happens with the other system. Now let's play this through a little bit more. This would be by Wednesday, October 7th in the morning, and we're looking at this now over the western Gulf of Mexico, and then it kind of dips a little bit further to the south and moves into northern Mexico again. Now let's start talking about what the Canadian model does, and this is a little bit more interesting because this one has the most robust system. Now we see that storm, which would be right around here, and then we also see the other storm, which is further to the south at 1007 millibars. So this one is going to move further to the north, and we're also going to see this one make a similar trek to what the GFS had originally, where it kind of stalled out over here. But instead of moving to the west, this one is going to continue to move to the north after converging with that other storm, and it'll actually look quite interesting on this radar presentation. Now, here would be by October 3rd, and we're looking at Saturday, October 3rd. That system is over parts of the northern or parts of the northern Yucatan Peninsula and into starting to move into western Cuba, starting to see the impacts. And we're still seeing a similar track to what the GFS and the European had by this point. Now, look what starts to happen. The Canadian model, I'll play this back a little bit. Here would be by the day before. This would be by Saturday, October 3rd. Look where this system is out in the southern Gulf of Mexico. We're looking at, or actually the southern Caribbean, we're looking at the system still just north of South America, while this system is still over the northern Yucatan Peninsula. Now look at how much ground this is going to cover within just 24 hours. I'm going to leave these two circles on the map. So look at this. Now instead of being, I'll do this in a different color here, and I'll do it in this pink. So this is the newest, or this is the next day. This would be by Sunday, October 4th. Look at where this storm is, and then look at where this storm is. This one has barely moved an inch, and this one has moved quite a few hundred miles to the north. So now, if we just keep on that, if we just keep that trajectory going, we're going to see these two storms definitely converge over parts of Cuba and the northern Yucatan Peninsula, and you start to see that by Monday, October 5th, according to this model. If we play this through a little bit, the system kind of stalls out over the Caribbean, but then it's going to start to really intensify as both of these storms are now converged together, 1001 millibar low pressure system. But look how broad this storm is. You're seeing impacts anywhere from parts of southeastern Mexico to parts of central Cuba by this point. So that is very, very wide of a system, and that is going to start impacting parts of the United States in just a little bit. So here would be by Thursday, October 8th. And we're looking at parts of the northern Yucatan Peninsula getting impacted with quite a bit of rainfall. And look at that, we have rain from anywhere from Mexico to Florida by this point. It's a 997 millibar, very strong low pressure system. And you're going to see this would be by Friday, October 9th, and then this would be by Saturday, October 10th. Look at all those isobars closely packed together. That indicates strong pressure gradients, and that would indicate a strong system in terms of its wind speeds. And you see that's just barreling towards Florida, and we see very heavy rains according to this model if this were to pan out. So you can see how we have two very, very, very different approaches to this, where the GFS and the European model want to bring this further to the west like this, while the Canadian model wants to kind of bring this further to the north. And I actually made a community post about this, about how different these two scenarios are. If you want to go check that out, you can just go to the community tab on my YouTube channel. I I do post frequently on there about what's going on in weather and just in general what's going on in the weather world. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.